Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deepbluerenegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade. I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 150. Today is Sunday, September 25th, 2016, and I'm glad you could join me today. I have a drink this time. Yay! And I've been puzzling over the episode title, though sometimes this comes, sometimes the episode title comes in the course of the episode recording, but what is it? I went to Stitches, Texas yesterday, and ended up pretty much making a day of it. So probably, yeah. So, and I have goodies to show you guys and knitting to show you guys, so it's looking pretty good. It is a nice, cool 83 in the upstairs today, so that's actually not too bad. So, knitting. So, something got a lot of love this week. And that something was the Delancey cardigan. But it didn't get any love yesterday. It mostly got love on the time in which I was home from work. So, I present to you guys a back and a front, which is currently being held together with those little safety pin style stitch markers, because I still need to mattress stitch the sleeves to, or whatever, the top of the sleeves to the top of the back, but just like flinging stuff all over the place. But we do have most of a sweater now, so, well, sleeves. Ridiculous shawl collar still yet to be done. I'm still trying to, oh, I understand now. So one of these is a little bit off because I didn't have it pinned down because I was going to seam it. Now I'm all backwards. So, cardigan, pretty good sized, or seems like a pretty good size. If I tighten this up, then the armhole is about right. And seems like everything's coming together nicely. I neglected to, I think, post a picture of me looking cute in it Friday night, but there you go. So, does it look more like a sweater now? So I was just like totally entranced with knitting the stripes on the back, and so it just flew, for lack of a better word. So that was pretty cool. And then this will go like so, and it'll be lovely. So I think, so next step is seaming those pieces together, then I'll probably start on the sleeves, because I'm sure all of the collar and border stuff is going to be, what would it be? At the very least, mindless knitting, and sometimes it's a little bit easier to fit mindless knitting in my life than not mindless knitting, so, yeah. So, coming together nicely. Does appear to look right. What's really surprising to me is that I'm still on my first 4 ounces of my nest, and still have a lot of this skein left of the Shetland, so I was just really surprised. Like, obviously I still have sleeves, but it seems like I have a lot of leftovers right now. Or that my yarn usage, so I have the body of a sweater, and that should be 2/3 of my yarn, and I'm not even halfway through my yarn, so perhaps I didn't need to add the Woolmeister stripes. I don't know. It just seems funny that my yarn usage was so much different. But, not that I'm really complaining, it's more like I wanted to use as much nest as humanly possible. So maybe it'll be the case where all of my borders, or I'll use the white for the Bam Bam contrast, but actually have my, like, bottom band and the shawl be mostly nest. Have it be whatever, the more variegated color instead, because I want to use it up, right? That is the point of the handspun sweater, right? So it's coming along. Maybe it'll turn out that now that I got to this milestone, then I can happily go back to spinning in the evenings again. We shall see. But what was it? Yesterday, since I was at the knitting retreat, it was just a bad time to mattress stitch, you know what I mean? So there didn't seem to be a good time to mattress stitch. But who knows? Such is life. The other thing, which probably isn't a state of, what would it be? Which is probably in a state of, I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. Well, so what I ended up carrying around with me in the market was the socks. So these are the Captain America socks. This is my vanilla sock pattern. It is a, what is it, a 65 stitch, 3x2 ribbing sock. I'm doing a standard slip stitch heel on this one because it's black and you can't see. And I'm getting pretty close to the same length of the heel flap. But because it was convention knitting, I would have like occasional places where even like the plain slip stitch heel was apparently like way too much thinking for me. So there was a little bit of derailing there. So it's really close though, and I should probably actually get it to a state where it'll be easy to work on for tomorrow, at least tonight, possibly. I'm hopeful. There are some podcasts I could watch that would probably get me through the rest. Oops, I just had my signature gone to my orange juice. That's not, like, totally not sanitary. Yeah, I still have... I'm getting close. Depends on how carefully I'm looking. I might actually be there now. I'll probably have to count rows off the air and go from there. But, so, not nearly as much love on this sock as maybe other weeks with it. Part of that just has to do with, what would that be? I'm probably going to be keeping socks on the needles for quite some time, so it just sort of depends on how busy I am. But hopefully we can get cruising on the foot and move on from there. What is it? So, the Sock Knitters is doing their ever popular sock hop cal. And I've added at least one pattern to my queue, like watching the thread. So it'd be the case where, so like, I'd like to do it. I started those socks too late to qualify for the cal, but there are some really cool patterns in there that I would like to do. Like someone's doing water for elephants, which is one I intended to do already. There was one, I think it's like German for icicles or something like that, and that one looked really gorgeous as well. I'm sure I could get someone to do a vanilla sock with me. If none of that worked out, there are just options, you know? So, because, like, there's plenty of sock yarn. You can't even see the sock yarn. Like, fiber. Plenty of fiber, too, but, the timing of this finishing lines up as well. Options. I'm going to have to move my orange juice because it's going to be in the danger zone. So, no new knitting projects, didn't start anything new. Mostly just trying to get the current stuff off. I don't know, you know how I am. It seems like I finish 2 things at the same time and then start 2 new things. That has been the pattern lately. We'll try this. It's probably safe. It was like, I'm a little bit doubtful about my safety factor there. But, so, you can see here that I have a decent amount on here. I was spinning in the dark, so that's why there's giant clumps of fiber. And right now, for whatever reason, I'm not able to continue the giant clump of fiber trend, so it's just sort of splurting out that way. I don't know why. But this is my 3rd bobbin, because you can see these other 2 bobbins are here. Ta-da! So, 2 bobbins, 3rd one's going. I still have actually a pretty decent amount left to spin on the 3rd one, because this week I was sweater! Whee! But making progress. I think, what was it? I think that was my movie spinning last night, so nothing too crazy. And I did actually work on the Pigeon Roof Studios, so I did have a little bit of spinning time at Stitches, so actually I'm going to redo this so it is safe again, because I always forget that it's a little awkward for the storage of the fiber to have it go through the small handle in my knotted bag. But I don't even know if it looks any different. I didn't get a ton done, but I did manage to get a little bit done, and that's better than nothing, right? So, coming along. I don't know if I will sit down and do a focused burn. Well, what is it? Like, focus on working on it after I apply the Enchanted Knoll Happy Hostbat, because this is my Pigeon Roof Studios, and this is nice and luxurious. This is a 70/30 merino silk, so it's a pleasure to spin. It just doesn't get as much love because it's on my spindle. But I am giving my spindle love, so it's better than nothing. So, and this is my Jenkins Lark, which I'm tremendously happy with. It's probably good that I don't live in the Pacific Northwest, because I would probably try to collect them all, and that just really isn't feasible here. Or I don't have very good mad update skills, if you know what I mean. So, that's okay. Like, some things are easier on D-Stash anyways, so. And these go really fast on D-Stash too, so I think I only managed to get mine because, what is it? I think I only managed to get mine because it was posted in a smaller group first. I mean, so it was like right place, right time. Not even knowing that a D-Stash was coming. But, it is getting some love. And I've been bringing it with me to knitting, even though it seems like the last couple of times that I've been knitting in public, it has been, it just hasn't been right to spin, if you know what I mean. So, like in a restaurant, like, there just isn't necessarily room sitting at a table, but if you were, say, in like a coffee shop and like a comfy chair, that would be enough room. But, or like, say, at home. But I think with spindle spinning, I need like the lights to be on, so then that would be good podcast spinning, or watching podcasts would be a good time to spin, which was what I was doing for a long time, is podcast time was spinning time. And lately I think that has actually just switched to being wheel spinning time, but if it needs to be spindle spinning time so I actually get somewhere on this project, yeah, probably good. I definitely am enjoying spindle spinning, and it's just, it isn't like my first choice, you know what I mean? So, it's coming along. It's lovely. And I'll just keep trying to work on it, because I want to have the bin. The bin, right here. And the bin is very full. So, in terms of, what is it? In terms of who's on deck, I know right now there's like a shawl spin along going on in the nest group. So maybe one of these would be good for that. So, like, this one is pretty similar to the shawl I just made, so I probably could actually make this up for socks or something. I don't know. But for fruit is also not going to be right. So maybe the flock one? I don't know. Try to do some sort of combo spin and make things more different. I know. This one also is more on the similar to something I've done recently, and so perhaps I just won't be participating in that spin along and I'll just go crazy with the sock yarn. Not sure. But there's all sorts of lovelies in there, so it's sort of hard to resist. Whichever way it goes, I'm sure it'll be fine. I guess that I'm feeling hopeful that I'll be able to finish my wheel project this week. Just sort of doing like the slow and steady thing. Okay, so I went to Stitches, Texas yesterday, and I did buy some things. I was on a mission. I had one specific goal that I wanted to achieve. And it turned out that what I ended up doing, which I think this is just my normal browsing mode, is that it is actually nice to do the first pass by myself so that I can carefully look through everything, see if there's anything that I can't live without. So then when a friend comes, that be like, oh, and generally knowing what they're looking forward to, be like, oh wait, I know just the place, here's what I found. But the thing that I ended up buying was the case where I only found it in my second pass, so apparently I wasn't looking super duper closely the first time. But I did manage to pick up some yarn for core spinning. So I ended up getting 2,400 yards of this cotton on a cone, because that was all I wanted. I wanted some yarn on a cone that was fairly thin. Now I'm not sure whether or not it turned out to be thicker than I intended. This is probably a 3 or 4 ply cotton. What would it be? So definitely, but it was good yardage, because I wanted to be so that if I did a project with core spinning that I know that I would have plenty. And maybe the answer was actually that I needed to buy like cones of yarn from Color Mart or Zephyr or something like that. And I'd remembered seeing cones of Zephyr at DFW Fiberfest, but these were really the only yarn on cones with significant yardage at Stitches. So I got a bleached white, I got a black, and then I got a natural. And this came from Hill Creek Fiber Studio. They're actually a shop in Columbia, Missouri. But I think that this will satisfy my core spinning needs for quite some time. And if I conclude I need something a little bit better, the internet seems to be a better choice. So I did talk with Connie from Hill Country Weavers, and she was like, Habu. like, you need the habu. But there was no habu to be found, and like, that tends to be sort of expensive. Like, I'm not necessarily looking for anything too crazy. Maybe it would be interesting to ply with. So I think in terms of my core spinning endeavor, the next thing that I would need is like thread for plying. And I think I will have a pretty good complement of things. The other things that I ended up picking up were at the very end. It was the case where every time I went into their booth, I liked it more. So I ended up building my own kit, for lack of a better word. So it's this husband-wife team. The husband dies, and the wife designs. And the company is called Stunning String Studio. So apparently they have been an indie dyer for a long time, and this was their second ever show. But I couldn't resist. So they had a sample up of a pattern called Rock the Casbah, and then you hear the clash in your head, like, you really don't like it. And yeah, so it got me. So really cool 2-color shawl, mosaic or fair isle knitting. I know I bought the pattern last night because if you bought yarn, they gave you a coupon code for the designs. I'm like, so they had like a darker blue and a white, and what I ended up getting was the Calypso blue, which was probably on the more semi for their colors, and then I ended up getting Fog, which is also probably one of their more semi light grays. And with their powers combined, it's going to be a really pretty and very molly shawl. So nothing like a little color work to make you excited. But what really got me was so the base is nice. Sort of reminds me. Well, no, it's not bubbly enough to be the Louette gems. What is it? This is 475 yards, 100 grams, and they were selling for $23 a skein for indie dyed yarn. Now, Woolmice is probably a little bit cheaper, even shipped from Germany. I don't know. Woolmice is weird like that. But this was like walking around the show and seeing all the different things. Like, it seemed to be so say for example in Stephen B's booth, lovely stuff, really gorgeous, really awesome things, but $5 to $10 more per skein than I was willing to pay. You know what I mean? You're like, what? Like, no, I'm not paying $30 a skein for 3 Irish girls and hedgehog fibers. Like, no. So I couldn't do it, but excuse me. But what is it? But the Stunning String Studios, it was the case for like 125 colors. They had every single colorway in their booth for their fingering weight. Like, it was it was amazing. I was really super duper excited. So that was, the one thing in the market. Like, how there's always something, like, if you go around, like, that's the thing that haunts you. So this, what is it? Making that shawl, whatever, was the thing that, like, they were one of the first booths I went to when I went into the market, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. So, very cool. Looking forward to it. Obviously, this blue does tend to be the Molly blue, and it tends to show up a couple of times in the stash, but whatever. There's just something like I wouldn't have bought. It's not like I bought a single skein of sock yarn. It was more intention than that. So really excited about that. And then their website is stunningstring.com if you're interested in seeing it. But I think we're going to be hearing more about them because it was cool. I was really excited. Well, they're actually based out of Illinois, but the Stitches tends to be more Midwest focused, if that makes any sense. I don't even know why. So I was a little bummed about it, though. I'm not gonna lie. And I think part of it is that like Stitch's flavor is more local, if that makes any sense. But when I was in Indiana, that was like the Midwest local flavor. So it was a little strange to have Midwest local in Texas, you know what I mean? So, DFW Fiberfest had a booth at Stitches, and they were giving away their awesome tote bags, which this is my tote bag from last year. They were talking about the teachers that they're going to have in April. And I know I'm going to be taking at least one class in April because Judith McKenzie is going to be teaching this year, so she is the spinning teacher. Their keynote speaker is Clara Parks. This year, the Yarn Harlot is coming back. She does like every other year or something like that. It's just the case where, like, the atmosphere is like so much better. So it's really hard when you have an event that two separate events that happen in the same place that nominally do about the same thing, and to have one do such a better job at it. You know what I mean? So, what was it? So that it's always like it's just the case where had they not been like so similar, I don't think the comparison would be so unfavorable, but it's like they do all the same things, but one of them's just eh. So I'm not sure that I'm actually going to go to it next year because the classes were all things that I could learn on my own, and I guess I'm an advanced adventuresome knitter. Like spinning classes, I'll shell out the money for spinning classes because I am only an egg, but with the knitting, nothing has really caught me for quite some time. I have taken knitting classes, but it has been a very, very long time. And I was surprised that there weren't as many Texas indie dyers, I think, as I would have expected. So I would have thought that Mustache would have been there. No. And I don't know if it's the case where it seemed like the attitude among the vendors was a little snappy, like not as many people were coming. I don't know. So it seemed on Saturday like there was a little bit more competitive than I would have liked. But got to run into a couple of SSK alumni, got to meet some people from Ravelry in real life, which was lovely. Enabled my friend into a build your own gradient what have you to knit an Inara shawl, and then we ran into someone who had an Inara shawl there, and she was like, I need to wind. So, so it's just the case where I was like, yes. What is it? So this particular friend, there's this certain color of like bluey turquoise, and it's just like, you know, as soon as you see that one, be like, oh no, your blue isn't in this booth, you're not gonna like anything. Like, I like many of the shades of blue, but she has just this one tealy shade that gets her every time, so, what is it? So it was the case where the gradient went together, like a very saturated teal to a light one, and then I pulled off a bunch of yellows, which went from like highlighter, like not neon highlighter, but highlighter yellow to sort of like a buttery color. And then it was just like so perfect for that shawl. So that was some pretty good enabling. It's a nice one. You can put together something for that. I didn't end up getting any fiber. I think with the monthly fiber from Nest, I'm feeling satisfied. We'll see if I start going crazy on the core spinning. I'll need to buy bats or make my own or something like that. We shall see. There certainly is plenty of fiber, so it's not like it's going to be a big deal. So we'll see, because I would like to start working my way through the or whatever the Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs. So, and it was just a case where it required some accoutrements that I didn't have. But yeah, no. So I'm probably not going back to Stitches Texas, unless they make a big change. Because I don't know. I think the other thing is that when you have like a charge to get in the market, then like, you know, whereas if you're taking a class, you get into the market for free, which is a normal thing for a yarn festival like that. So I'm not sure what I would do exactly. I think that, what is it? I think what we're going to actually do is my knitting group is actually going to go to the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival, because that's a hanging out with the sheep in a field kind. Along with whatever vendors and that sort of thing, but that might be, what is it? Differentiated. Because, what is it? Because the ones that are happening in the DFW area are more of that city slicker. Like, there wasn't very much fiber to be had, and I understand, because it isn't like I've necessarily even found a, it isn't like I found a spinning group here. But, yeah, so it'd just be the case where I think that might be a better choice, instead of Stitches again. So we'll see what ends up happening, whether or not they can keep it going, because I need to do something different. I don't know, because the DFW Fiber Fest is so awesome. They need to differentiate themselves somehow. Somehow, some way, aside from having their Midwestern market. So that's sort of where I stand there. I should be able to record next week. Oh my gosh, next week's gonna be October, isn't it? I bet the calendar is going to say so. Yeah. And at this point, I don't even have any clue if it's going to be the second or the first or the second. It could be either. I would love to get back to recording outside. It just, like, what is it? It's nearly 10 o'clock now, so it's just the case where it's like, like, if I have to record on Sunday, it's going to be dark, so I'm going to be in this room, so I'm not sure if I need to rig up some studio lighting or something, because I really don't like having the lighting be bad. It's so much easier to have natural light, even if it can sometimes be a little bright. But, oh well. Such is life. There's not too much I can do about it, because it's probably going to be this way for quite some time. So, oh, and what I totally forgot to mention last week is I did end up buying a new ball winder. I decided to go for the compromise which is, what is it? So on the far end, you have Nancy's Knickknacks wooden ball winder, and you find them in shops, and it's metal gears, and all of the other pieces are wood, and it's really sturdy and firm, and you can make massive balls on it. And then on the far other end is the knit picks. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up diagnosing that they have like brass bushings, and then they have and then they have like a plastic piece that goes in it. And so what ended up happening is, as it was going around, oh yeah, just like that, the plastic piece ended up getting worn, and like things weren't seating together well. So what we ended up doing was sort of filing it down a little bit, which helps, but isn't a perfect fix. So the ball winder still works, it just doesn't wind massive balls anymore. And I like my big balls. So the compromise between like entirely plastic and entirely metal and wood was the Stanwood Imports ball winder. So most of the ball winder is metal. The gears are still plastic, but after deconstructing the Knit Picks one, what failed was not the plastic gears, but the plastic shaft. So this does not have a plastic shaft, so I think it's going to last a good long while. It needs a little bit more space because it has a different winding mechanism. So you know how normally ball winders are doing this, and then it rotating, and then that's what's forming the center pull. So this one, the plastic cone bit is actually just rotating in a circle in its own axis, if that makes any sense. And then there's another piece which is actually whipping around the slowly moving plastic thing. And then you have way out there is where your yarn is coming in. So slightly different mechanism, needs a little bit more space, so I was like cleaning off my table and that sort of thing in order to make everything work. And I haven't wound a ball in it yet. So this will probably be the first thing I wind, since I do have such crazy different lengths on this. Like, whatever, I'll just keep plying from center pull balls until well, I like for the skein to be contained, so so I'll let you guys know how it goes, or maybe I'll take a video of it actually working, because I was surprised, excuse me, at how much more it was moving, because it just was a different mechanism. But I'm excited. It's really stout and really sturdy. It's supposed to be able to hold 10 ounces, and knowing me, I bet I could fit quite a lot more than 10 ounces on there, but yeah. So I'm excited that I took care of that, because it was no fun to have like a wounded ball winder. So I'll probably have to find a good home for the Knit Picks one. I have some ideas, so it shouldn't be too bad. So with that, I look forward to talking to you guys next week. And have a nice week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.